Today, let's look at the handstand push-up progressions. We're just going to use the floor and we're just going to use the wall. I'm going to take you from a pike push-up all the way to the freestanding version. I recommend you follow along with this one and just go to the point where you can't go any further. So keep working the progressions until you reach your current level. If you're already a little bit more experienced, still do the earlier levels and just use that as a warm-up and like a form check before you get to the harder variations. So number one, let's go through the pike push-up. So I'm going to externally rotate the hands. I'm going to make a triangle between my head and my hands. So that's going to show me my finish point. This setup, this triangle is going to carry on for the full movement. So when we're pushing up from this position, and we'll want to try and mimic that on all the exercises. Getting that correct, fine-tuning that is going to really help you to progress faster and feel like you're in a stronger, more efficient position. And then for the start of the pike push-up, I'm going to go into this position, so more like a down dog. You want to make sure that you're comfortable here. If you've got tight hamstrings, you might need to bend the knees a little bit, but ideally you'd be straight. You want to try and get as much of a straight line from the hip to the feet as possible. Then I'm going to take the head forwards, take the head down, create that triangle, forehead touch, and then come back up again. I'm not a big fan of taking the nose to the floor. I much prefer to take forehead to the floor because that helps to keep the body in line, where if I do this, it tends to extend and creates more of a banana. But go with what feels comfortable for you, but the biggie is to make that triangle and then push back up to that start position. Now, if it feels too hard, we can make it a little bit flatter. So I'm gonna have the hands a bit further away from the feet. So then it's a little bit more of a hybrid between a pike push-up and a standard push-up. And then if I'm stronger with it, I can just try and get more into an upright inverted position as I come down, so more weight is in my hands. Progressions from there could be to lift the leg up in the air. You can use this foot on the wall as well a little bit. Get into that start position and then come forwards. Still try and keep a straight line from the head, shoulder, hip, foot, and then come back again. Now, a much harder variation is to do the same thing, but have both feet up on the wall. Now we can go into a little bit of a squatty position like this, but it's a bit more like a hybrid now between the handstand push-up and the pike push-up, where I'm going to come down to here and then push back up to the wall again. So it's definitely not as hard as a wall handstand push-up where I'm pushing up and down, but it's pretty close. And you can obviously play around with your distance you are away from the wall in terms of the hands and how much you're closing the legs and how high the feet are up and down the wall. Then we can look at the wall handstand push-up. Now ideally with this one, we're going to start in this position. So we're going to look more like the stacked handstand, but we're leaning against the wall. So the body line position is the same as this. It's just leaning in that direction. So notice the shoulders are open. And then I'm going to come forwards with the shoulders like we did with the pike push-up, create that same triangle, and then go back up the wall. Now, one way to make that slightly easier is when I get to the bottom, I could walk up the wall. Or if I struggle with both of those, I could do an eccentric only. So if I'm going to do an eccentric only, exactly the same technique with control all the way down until head touches, create the triangle, hold, and then find a way of getting out that doesn't hurt the neck and remove all the skin off your toes. Now, if you've only got 1 or 2 repetitions of the wall handstand push-ups, or if you're only doing the eccentric, I recommend that you're still doing pike handstand push-ups to get the volume, to get enough repetitions. Now, a common question is, should we do back to wall or chest to wall? Now, I'd prefer you to do chest to wall because it helps to keep the body line a little bit more like the freestanding version. But if you are going to do the back to wall one, if you prefer that style, do exactly the same setup. So have that external rotated hands. I'd only have one heel on the wall and have this foot or the other leg that's straight in line with the torso all the time. So notice as I come down, I'm mimicking the freestanding handstand push-up. I take head to floor and then come back up that way. Interestingly, this one is slightly easier than the chest to wall version because I'm overbalanced slightly. Now, overbalance is going to really help you in the freestanding version to pull you up into the position because it's like you're falling into the handstand push-up instead of falling away from it. So that one's good to feel that, but just be careful that you're not relying on the wall too much and arching into a more of a banana position. Try and mimic what you're aiming for freestanding when you do it back to wall. And again, you could do the eccentric there, or the eccentric is slightly easier to exit as well. So when I come down, as long as I haven't bananaed too much, I can come back out without the restriction of the wall. As part of your handstand push-up journey, I would also recommend that you're working frog or crow to handstand. And there's a few variations of that. You could do the full version where you're going up, use the wall as much as you need to at the top, and then try and get your eccentric. You could work the eccentric by itself. You can do it against the wall. So I'm here, externally rotate. I can even go against the wall like that and roll down. It's just hard to find the elbows and get into that position. And you can also do it chest to wall this way around when I'm here, bend the arms as I come down, and then walk down the wall and step into your froggy position there. Now, if you are working towards the freestanding version, obviously you need to be working your freestanding and handstand at the same time. The better you can make your freestanding balance, the bigger the balance window, the easier it's going to be to get that freestanding handstand push-up, because you can play around with the pathway and the body position that will help you or make things really hard. So you just got to work out the best position for you. And the easiest way to do that is a freestanding eccentric. So here I can feel whether I'm balanced, because look, I can hang in these positions as I come down. So that's the goal, is to be able to hang throughout the range. And you can also play around with partial range. Now, partial range can be done in all of the variations. It just means you work a certain portion of the handstand push-up. So if I'm doing the freestanding partial range, maybe I need a little bit of help with the wall. I'm going to come down a little bit, use the wall if I need to, come back up again. Now, the downside of the partial range, like if we're only doing 1 or 2 reps of the other ones, we need really more volume of the full range of motion, both the eccentric and the concentric. So just jump back to one of the easier variations where you can get the full range of motion and also the repetitions. So I'd structure your session where you're getting lots of work in sets, making sure you're getting that full range of motion, both work on the concentric and the eccentric, and then finish off a portion of your session with freestanding handstand push-up attempts. Obviously, it depends where you are on that level. So if you're very close to it, you'd have a bigger section of your workout where you're doing more repetitions of attempts. If you're further away from it, you'd have less or none at all to start with and then build into that. So obviously the goal is there, freestanding handstand push-up, show control all the way down and all the way back up. If it's easy, see if you can get repetitions. Let me know if you have any questions with this one. Let me know where you are with your handstand push-up journey. If you're after coaching or programs for any of these skills, check out my app, link is down in the description. I've just started Discord for app users as well, so if you've already downloaded the app, and you can ask me any questions directly, or if you have any requests for the app. And I'll see you in the next one.